The Royal Rumble 2024 is in the books, ladies and gentlemen. Cody Rhodes does back-to-back Royal Rumble wins, the first time that's been done in over 25 years. Bayley wins the Women's Royal Rumble, and potentially what could be the best Women's Royal Rumble match in history. We'll be discussing that and more as Bayley breaks the record for the longest time in a Women's Royal Rumble match. Roman wins, lol, as expected. He retains the undisputed WWE Universal Championship, and of course, on top of that, Logan Paul is still United States champion, although Kevin Owens was disqualified. It wasn't actually a clean pinfall victory. That is pretty much your results for the Royal Rumble, but we're going to review it in a bit more depth. We're going to get your comments as well, and of course, can you imagine? Then we're going to sign off there. Thank you very much for watching. Anyway, yeah, my name's Steve. I'm joined by the one and only NX Steve in house, and NX Steve. First off, just before we go into break things down properly, match by match, I just give you overall thoughts of the Royal Rumble 2024.
Do you know what? Really good pay-per-view. I enjoyed it from start to end. I felt the men's was kind of like bang average for a Rumble. Like, we'll get more into it as we go along, but I felt there could have been a few more things to add to it. I think the Women's Rumble match, I'm going to go ahead and say I think to date it probably is the best Women's Rumble match. And it's not even like, it wasn't like it was great the whole way through, but again, we'll go into it when we talk about it. And yeah, some very clever booking when it comes to the likes of KO and Logan Paul and Roman Reigns in a WWE Universal World Heavyweight Championship match is the sponsored match on a pay-per-view. Shocking. The fact that I had to watch Roman Reigns in a ring surrounded by and plastered with Slim Jims was unreal.
It was a beautiful sight to see the bright orange going through the Royal Rumble. In fact, I actually celebrate myself with a Terry's chocolate orange during that match, actually, just to fit the theme, actually, for those that know what that is. And but just if you do know, it's not Terry's, it's mine. But just say very quick hello to our chat as well. We have got Temple Blaze in house. Says, call up Braun Breaker now. The guy was a beast. He truly was. Actually 100%. Replacing Brock Lesnar apparently in the Royal Rumble match, if reports are to be believed. Celebrating the idea of R-Truth and saying that Jimmy and Jay starting the Rumble was genius. We've finally got a back-to-back Royal Rumble for the 21st century. CD, welcome to the show. Hope you are doing well. Eric Douglas says Bayley had to win last night. Perhaps maybe she did, because we're going to discuss that in more detail. Bayley Mania is Jordynne. Jordynne, thank you for joining us. Hope you're doing well. Kicking it with Leo in house. Feeling bad for Liv Morgan. Come up short again for the second year in a row, with her being part of the last two. Absolutely. We said Final Four was best for her, but no, she got to the final two. Big return there. Not only the only surprise in the Royal Rumble, we're going to more of those as well as we go along. Pierre in the house. Pierre, hope you are doing well. CD feeling very confident today. Knew Bayley was going to win that Royal Rumble. We saw that predictions video. We knew you called it, CD. Don't you worry about that. And what was Triple H thinking? Making it the sponsored match. Well, I guess that was the match that was chosen for the occasion. I've not really got much more to say on it, really. Pierre wants to talk more about Jade Cargill. Of course, the amazing debut that Jade Cargill had. Wow, we will be. We're going to the Women's Royal Rumble match, so don't you worry about that. The last comment quickly coming in from Leo, and we'll get into the Women's Rumble match. Do you think there's a future for Liv Morgan where she can make it to Mania by going through the chamber? And do you think she'll win if it's a number one contenders match? That's a very good question. And let's answer that quickly now, because obviously we know, spoiler alert, Bayley wins the Women's Royal Rumble. Currently, as things are, she'd said before the Rumble, Bayley was going to call out Rhea Ripley. We expect it's going to change between now and WrestleMania. It's more likely going to be Io Sky. So, I mean, look, people have been suggesting Becky versus Rhea is the other match that's going to happen. I still remain that I think that's the destination. But, I mean, there is surely an argument that maybe Liv Morgan could be the one that could fill that spot. So they want to do Becky versus Nia at WrestleMania, where Becky gets that win back, if you will, to carry on that program. Liv Morgan has beef with Rhea Ripley, and certainly the chamber could be a way that he could set up that number one contender.
Yeah, I mean, possibly. I mean, it actually probably leads me to think that if they are going to do Becky versus Rhea, that Rhea is more than likely going to retain at Mania, if that's what they want to do. But then again, it could be the case of that, hey, this could be some crazy long-term storytelling, and it might be a case of Liv's been the second to last, or the last elimination, the last 2 years. Who's not to say she can go on and win it next year?
Could be third time's the charm. You never know, Leo. We keep an eye on it. Liv Morgano is back, and she means business. And like you say, a runner-up, not too shabby for the Royal Rumble. But someone else is always being eliminated for 2 years in a row. Gunther by Cody Rhodes. It's insane. Clearly has Gunther's number at this moment. Io Sky versus Bayley at Mania 40 is going to happen. Bayley will not choose Rhea. She'll do a face turn and face Io Sky. I reckon that's probably the case. See, this is, LA Knight was in the Slim Jim commercial, so it kind of made sense for that world title match. That probably makes the most sense.
Yeah, the fact that they even played the commercial just before his entrance or something as well, you kind of really obvious, really, isn't it? That no matter if LA Knight's going to be, he's always going to be. But then again, I don't want to be tarnished with that trope that he's only on the pay-per-view for the pure fact of being in the sponsored matches.
You never know how it could play. Maybe it is the way, but hey, if he continue the momentum he's doing, I think he will be just fine.
But then, like I said, he was in the Rumble last year against Bray Wyatt in the Mountain Dew match, and he just seems to be getting this trope of just being the sponsor guy, and it's kind of like, oh no, I don't want that for LA Knight, man. I want the guy to actually do something.
He could be the sponsor guy. He could be a future United States champion. Remember, you've heard it first on this channel. We've talked about it now since Logan Paul became the champion. Probably even before that, actually. We talked about that around SummerSlam time, didn't we? So we'll see if it will actually work out or not. But men's chamber to probably have a number of contenderships for the championships at WrestleMania 40. That potentially could be the case. Champions could defend as well. So we'll see how it's going to play out. But we got a question from Jordan. I think this will put us nicely into start talking about the Women's Royal Rumble. Was Jordynne Grace in the Rumble a one-off? To my understanding, from what I've seen on the reports of the dirt sheets, the undercovered sources, yes, it's a one-off. Apparently, the deal was put in place around last weekend. I think WWE had gone around to multiple companies to see if there was availability for talents. TNA was one of those companies. Apparently, TNA and Jordynne Grace were very good to deal with, according to Fightful Select. A lot of this information comes from, and apparently Jordynne Grace came to rehearsals on Thursday for the Women's Royal Rumble, so was a part of the team for all of that, and of course was exposed, obviously, as the number 5 entrant, given us to the world, the TNA Knockouts champion. Of course, she got to renew her rivalry a little bit with Trinity, obviously, aka Naomi, now back in WWE, who also made her return, so that was a fun little spot in the Rumble as well. And Jordynne Grace had a good little showing, really. Entered number 5, didn't leave till number 14, and of course, was eliminated by Bianca Belair. So no small feat, very respectable performance in that Rumble match.
Yeah, great showing for Jordynne Grace. Honestly, I only popped hard twice last night, really, and one was Jordynne Grace and the other one was Jade Cargill. But yeah, man, like I love this. Like, it just shows that it's almost like, I know we had it a couple of years ago with Mickie James, and it was kind of almost like with the Mickie James one, it was a booking error because I don't think they realized she'd gone back to TNA. But I think, like, they've actually legitimately gone out there and asked for someone like that. And you know what I mean? It gives you hope for the future that maybe at some point, somewhere along the line, there can be a talent share, or do you know what I mean? Where you get these guys from, for instance, say NXT, go on secondments and go to TNA for 3 months and do some work there just to get them TV time and to get them used to working in front of like a production and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, man, it's a positive that I thoroughly enjoyed. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't be against at some point. Like, I don't want it to be like a trope, like it's a thing every year. Like, I really want them to make it be like a really special thing. I don't want it to be sort of really overused and saturated in the years to come.
Absolutely, yeah. I hope that it's like you say, it's something that feels special when they do it. They did it with Mickie James a couple of years ago, and obviously, like you said, there was more juice to fill up the numbers here. This could be something, I don't know, maybe something slightly more into this, because both are working with Endeavor in some format, both of them premium live events. So let's see if it can lead to more. Jordynne herself has said this is not the last time you'll see something like this. So perhaps maybe there is something more in the works, whether it's Grace going to WWE in some format. She also called out Bianca Belair, saying this wouldn't happen on her turf. I wonder if that's sort of suggesting the idea of, well, can we get Bianca Belair to come and sort of compete at Rebellion this year or something, maybe in the match there? You never know if it could happen. One thing I will predict, and I'll say now, it's a strong prediction, it's a bold prediction, but I'm calling it now. If other people have called it, damn it, I haven't heard it anywhere else. I'm calling it as where I can. AJ Styles will appear in TNA this year. He'll get to do an appearance in TNA and perform as well. The place where he started. There's got to be something in this, because TNA's having an amazing start to 2024. They've done a really good job of everything they're doing. And this is only going to help them more, because WWE kind of put TNA over quite positively as well with the way that they did this. They said
Massively.
she's the champion. They said, goodness, she's incredible with her in-ring performance. They made a big deal with TNA, and I think that that's only going to help that product.
Yeah, Pat McAfee, especially, who, to be fair, we haven't even mentioned yet, but Pat being back on the Rumble this year, he put her over like just an absolute star. Just how he said that she's a unit, she's an absolute like unit of a wrestler, man. And like TNA have got their hands full with that one, and like, yeah, I think they've done really well to put over TNA. Like, they didn't have to do it, but the fact that, like you said, she come in at number 5, lasts until like the 14th or 15th entrant before she's eliminated. She has a great show, and she comes out with the TNA title as well. My only one trope probably is the fact that they didn't put on her nameplate when she came out that she was TNA Knockouts champion. Like when Mickey came out, they said that she was Impact Women's Champion. So that's my one little trope from it. But otherwise, just made TNA a massive deal. And like, I remember going on the socials afterwards and just looking at TNA, just being like praising the hell out of Jordynne Grace and saying like Jordynne Grace is just changing the game, and they had all the accolades. And then the one that was in there was 2024 Royal Rumble entrant.
Absolutely, and what a great job she did in that match as well. But let's go. This is a good excuse to break away and talk about the women's Royal Rumble match. Then, shall we? Let's break it down into a bit of detail. Obviously, number 1 was Natalya, obviously, and number 2 we got a surprise return straight away, Naomi, which I thought was really cool. The fact that she came in straight away, had that music hit there, felt quite a bit of electricity. Sitting on the sofa thinking, oh, like the show's just started. Like you said, Pat McAfee's the surprise commentator that's coming out. We've got the entrance and stuff, and then within immediately a Rumble match starting. We've not got to wait for a surprise entrant. Obviously, just for a really hot opening to this Rumble match. Like we said, Naomi was there. Obviously, Bayley was number 3 into this as well, so she comes into the mix. Jordynne Grace obviously being number 5, a surprise entrant as well. Obviously, Candice was number 4. But we had the likes of, I think, Indy Hartwell, but then Asuka was in there. Bianca Belair entered the mix. Ivy Nile. We had Kairi Sane. All within like the first 11, 12 entrants. We had some big names, some hard-hitting names that have carried that women's divisions in places in WWE. And I just felt like it was a really strong performance to start off this women's Royal Rumble match. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, it was scrappy in certain places. Like, it was kind of like some like miscommunication with a couple of the girls. But once you got past like, I don't know, the 14th, 15th. I mean, when Chelsea Green came out, Chelsea Green, by the way, for me, MVP of the Women's Rumble, was an absolute star last night. Thoroughly couldn't have enjoyed it any more without Chelsea, because she was just honestly phenomenal. Every single bump she took was just amazing. But yeah, it was kind of like a tale with two halves. Like, first half, bit scrappy in places, bit not so flowing, like almost like there was no chemistry. But then once you got past, say, Chelsea Green coming in, the Rumble just takes its place then, and like everything, I couldn't really notice anything out of place afterwards. Like, it was just a solid show afterwards. Like, everyone came out, everyone had their spots. Nothing was scrappy. I mean, apart from maybe the Kairi Sane elimination, where she pulls off the most insane body physical position to try and save herself. And whether she was meant to actually survive or not, I don't know, but it was just insane. But yeah, I just thought the rest of the Rumble just turned out really well.
Yeah, I mean, I can see where you're coming from, and that elimination for Kairi Sane, by the way, was was insane. Let's be fair. I mean, obviously, looked really cool at the start there, where she was sort of like on the LED board, and I have no idea how she stayed there either for as long as she did. But obviously, like you say, because I don't know if she's meant to have survived or not survived. Did it end up like Kofi in the last couple of years, or did it end up just like, well, she's meant to hold on for a little while, she falls down, Asuka goes as well. And that was the big shock at that point, because obviously I liked the storyline narrative in that early part of the Rumble as well, with Bayley unsure like that Asuka was going to be a part of the match. It seemed she seemed a bit shocked of like, hang on, we weren't going to discuss about this. All of a sudden, then Bayley was the one doing a lot of the saving for them for while they could. Wasn't so much the other way around, but then obviously Bayley was left on her own because them two had been eliminated, the Kabuki Warriors. So it was an interesting sort of story beat going with that. And like you said, obviously they were limited, obviously the Kabuki Warriors, by the former tag team champions of Caden Carter and Katana Chance as well. But like you say, from when Chelsea Green came in as well, I love the fact that she she played the idea of, she knew she'd only been there 5 seconds the year previous,
Yeah.
and sort of was going to go over the top rope. She survived. Went over the top rope. She survived again. And obviously, just the situation, and when we got the likes of Piper Niven coming in, who, she should have been eliminated. Piper called her. Piper was like, "Will I put her on the floor? Will I not?" And she was like, "Nah, I'll get you back in the ring. Don't worry." Just a bit of fun between pals if you want to tag team partners. And obviously, then came to the other moment where Nia Jax was involved in the match, and there came a moment where every bit of offense just seemed to affect Chelsea Green. Everyone just landed on Chelsea Green, and she just was pretty much dead on her feet. For me, I found that a very entertaining moment of the Rumble.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, just an absolute MVP, just taking bump after bump after bump and just selling it like an absolute trooper. Every single one, every corner splash, every splash on the mat, just literally Chelsea Green. Like I said, I tweeted it out after the match and was like, MVP for me, Chelsea Green. Like, couldn't have given higher praise to anyone else in the Rumble. But just to go back to some of the other people in there, like Zelina come out, and honestly, I really hope Zelina wins a world title this year. I think she's just one of them people that's been almost like so faithful to the company and everything that I was like, we'll sit there just watching her performances and the stuff she was doing, and I was like, for me, someone who definitely deserves a world title shot this year. Yeah, just like I said, you can't really express it more than that. It was just a solid Royal Rumble. Like, and I text you early this morning and said possibly the greatest women's Rumble match ever, and it was kind of like, all right, we've only had I don't know 4, 5, 6, 7 of them, however many they've been, and it's kind of like a bit hard to set a precipice of like, this is the bar, you have to beat it. Like, it wasn't perfect by any means, but in the Rumbles that we have had, like I said, I think it delivered and everything. We talk about Naomi coming back at number 2. The crowd, awesome, just to take Naomi back in. We then said about Jordynne Grace coming in, and the fact that they obviously mentioned that Jordynne Grace beat Naomi 2 weeks ago to take the title off of her, and it was kind of like, oh yeah, 2 different companies but still fighting. It was just great to see, man. Like I said, there was so many story beats, and then every time there was another entrant coming, it felt like, oh, this person's got back up, this person's got back up, like, because they're trying to do what we've been calling for ages, and they're trying to build this women's division, especially when it comes to tag teams. Like, you'd have Caden Carter, Katana Chance come out, then Caden Carter come out, then Chelsea Green come out, and then Piper come out, and it was kind of like every single person had a story or a backup in there. And like I said, I couldn't give it more praise than what it was, man. Like I said, for me, it was match of the night.
It was a fun time, and obviously it was like the tag team Royal Rumble. There was so many teams involved, then many times the commentary say like, "Oh, they've got backup now. They have their help now." Obviously, it didn't really work very well from the Tyler and Tegan Knox. They turn on one another instantly, and it was like there's always that one team that does things stupidly. I can do it on my own. It's like, don't do that. You end up both being eliminated, and it doesn't work out. It's classic every year that doesn't work out. But obviously, when you look to the likes of the latter part of the Rumble as well, the fact we got what I think was Becky Lynch around 21 coming in as well. You knew the star power was going there. That wasn't concluded with Nia Jax, but Nia Jax was just dominant throughout the Rumble and most eliminations, I believe, in this as well. Up until around the 28 mark, and that's where we had Jade Cargill finally make her in-ring debut. I know Pierre wanted us to talk a bit about Jade Cargill, so let's do that. The presentation of Jade Cargill was phenomenal to come out, to come to the ring. Cool. Go on.
I've got to have to send you. I recorded every time there was an entrance last night. I recorded myself for a genuine reaction. I will have to send you my one because if I recorded for Jade Cargill, because honestly, dude, she comes out, she looks like $1 million. She looks like an absolute unit, and it was a case of like I'd even sort of I'll have to say I've got another one as well. So there was a point where like Nia had just been like they decided to eliminate Nia with like 6, 7, 8 people, and it didn't work. And I was like, it got to 21 when Becky comes in. And I went, only one person's going to eliminate Nia this year, and it's going to be. And then Becky comes out, and okay, I was like, not the person I was thinking of, but that could work. But then Jade Cargill comes out. Literally, it's like a 2-minute clip. I recorded it, and I was like, Jade is going to eliminate Nia all by herself. This is her moment. And that was kind of like, unfortunately for me, it was the point where I'm kind of like, that's Jade's Rumble moment, which is probably why she's not going to win. But the fact that she's come in and eliminated Nia Jax all by herself looks like $1 million. Just, dude, man, I'm so happy that she's finally here now. And like we said on the, I'm sure we said on the predictions that it was kind of like if she'd have won, it'd have been good because she could have showed up on SmackDown and Raw every week, like vying for who they want, who she's going to sign for. But we can still get that. But yeah, I'm just really excited to see now that she's actually physically been on the show, what she's going to do. I'm so excited for it.
I believe we're still going to get that. I believe that's the, like you said, the presentation that we had with Jade Cargill. Obviously, you said that Nia couldn't be eliminated, and single-handedly she did do that. I think Nia made it a bit hard for her. It looked like it was not the easiest lift in the world to do to get her over the top rope. But you know, the job got done. Jade looked like $1 million doing it. Obviously, then Jade continued after. I could just say the camera pan to Becky at the side, they're kind of laughing at Nia on the floor, was genius, by the way. That was awesome. But the fact then that we see Jade mix it up with the likes of Bayley, she mixed up with Becky Lynch. Eventually, she I think eliminated Becky Lynch, Naomi as well. Naomi at that point had been in the Rumble for 61 minutes. She was awesome. The sort of press slams with Bianca Belair in the center of the ring as well, holding the ladies up, I thought was fantastic as well. It just, for me, with Jade's presentation, like you said, now you can just, they had a moment there with that, her and Bianca, and I thought myself, that can still be the Mania match. They can still make that the direction. That's still there.
That's exactly what I thought.
It looks like it's perfect. So I hope they start that. And if they can do the thing with Pierce and Aldis again, doing the bickering of, I want you on my show and I want you on my show, just have that going forward for the next 5-6 weeks, because Jade can, make her decision. She can go in the show. She can sit in the skybox. She can sit backstage and, in her own dressing room with a champagne and grapes or whatever, to sort of like watch the show backstage and just have those moments. Maybe have stars confront her backstage saying like, it was impressive what you did at the Rumble, but, can you beat me sort of thing, like in a one-on-one? And if you have that moment with her and Bianca, that could be your stepping stone to start getting that into the WrestleMania direction. It almost becomes same as like with the other guys that have signed when it's been Aldis and Pierce trying to battle who they're going to get. It's almost the competition that Jay cares about, not necessarily the contract money offer. But obviously, other ones that came in, Roxanne Perez was the NXT presence in there. So was Tiffany Stratton, 29. Thought Tiffany had a good showing for the time she was in there. And obviously, Liv Morgan was the number 30, which Leo, if you're still with us, would be loving that as well. The fact she returned there. Obviously, she was number 2 last year and was runner-up, and again, was the same sort of scenario. But obviously, going down to that final 3, all 3 of them have been over the top rope, were on that sort of apron. You felt yourself, how's this going to go? Could go either way. Like you said, you kind of felt Jade had that moment. So it was just kind of like, how are they going to get her out of here? And obviously, it's going to take something kind of like, well, kind of sick to do so, really. It was kind of, the Oblivion style move to get Jade on the floor to do that backflip was quite a cool looking spot. And obviously then Bayley at that point then just took advantage and just knocked Liv Morgan to the floor before she could get back in. And Bayley obviously at that point winning the Women's Royal Rumble, quite in a bit of the review, but obviously I would say that she was an ever presence in that match. She was there when she needed to be for a lot of spots, and to break a record 63 minutes in a Women's Royal Rumble match. And for me, it was kind of reminiscent, and this is going to go for older fans here, so apologies to the new ones, but it was very reminiscent of the 92 Rumble for me, with the Ric Flair stuff, where it's kind of like you come in that early stage, you're not number 1 or 2. Can you get to the distance? The things that you think could be your advantages end up being your disadvantages. Kabuki Warriors didn't work out. Can she get there at the end? She found a way. And when there was an advantage, when there was 3 people left, because it's the exact same, similar style, well, not similar style finish, but obviously there's 3 people at the end of the 92 Rumble. And obviously Hogan was eliminated. He pulls Sid, and it just leaves a vulnerable moment for Flair to get Sid over the top rope to win the match. It's kind of that same thing. Liv gets the job done, but then it's just that vulnerable moment that Bayley can swoop in and get her moment and get her ticket punched for WrestleMania.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the thing, I think the good thing with this one as well is like when Asuka and Kairi Sane come in as well, I can imagine like 99% of people sat there and thought, I know what's going to happen. These 3 are going to get to later on in the Rumble, and those 2 are going to eliminate Bayley. And that's going to be the start of the split. And it was kind of like when Kairi and Asuka got eliminated, and I'm like, oh, okay. I like the fact they're doing something different and it's not predictable. Do you know what I mean? The one thing I can say is like I'm genuinely surprised by the Rumble winner, because I honestly wouldn't have thought. Like, I know Bayley was obviously one of the 3-4 people mentioned, but I didn't genuinely think that Bayley would be the one to win it, because like we said before in the prediction show, they've not done anything to tease any reason why Bayley should cash in and pick Io, because like Raw's like tomorrow night, so you're thinking that Bayley's going to show up on Raw, she's going to challenge Rhea, and that's going to be the Mania match. Like, it kind of makes sense, like that's the way they go. So it's going to be interesting to see how they get out of it and how they turn around and don't have Bayley challenge Rhea tomorrow night. So that's going to be the fun part about it. But yeah, just like I said, the fact that I'm surprised that Io and Asuka didn't eliminate Bayley itself, I think is just like really refreshing to see. Like I'm sitting here going, like, we're so used to the stereotypical tropes that WWE has, and like we sit there and go, oh well, like, oh, this person's done this, so we know this person ain't winning, kind of thing. And like that's like I said, to be pleasantly surprised, especially with the men's rumble as well, like that, like the final two in that, it was just refreshing to watch. Like at no point did I feel, apart from Roman Reigns winning, at no point did I feel like the show was predictable. Like it was just entertaining the whole way through.
And yeah, I kind of agree with you with that as well, because like I felt with Bayley that like for the end part of last year, like I was like, Bayley's winning the Rumble. There's no two ways. Bayley's winning this. And we got to January and I was just like, I see a twist. And like with Jade Cargill, I thought maybe they might just put the stock in her immediately. And I felt like you said, Bayley going to challenge Rhea just doesn't, how does that work? It doesn't make things make sense. And I just thought, like you said, either people would turn on Bayley to get her out of the Rumble, or Bayley would accidentally eliminate the Kabuki Warriors. I thought that was the way it was going to go. That would start the friction. This is how I think it may play out now. Obviously, because whole of Damage Control, Damage Control can be on Monday Night Raw now because of the fact that Kabuki Warriors won those tag team titles. That on Friday was key. So now they're all going to be there on Monday, and you can have a segment before we get to anything where Io is like, "So you are going to challenge Rhea, right? You're not coming for me." And there can be just that start of the friction where it's like, "You better pick Rhea because you're not beating me." And starting thinking, you can start basically showing the cracks that Bayley's had, because Bayley goes to celebrate with everyone when those tag team titles are won. She's the one that's the odd one out left standing there. It can start feeling like that. And if there is that sense of like, well, Bayley was going to do something, maybe Bayley gets attacked, so she doesn't get an opportunity to call Rhea, drags over to another week. You start doing things like that, and the more friction that cuts in, Bayley might get to the point she's just had enough and said, well, hang on, I can pick who I want here. Like, and it's like, if you're going to keep making me feel like this, maybe I need to set an example of who the leader of Damage Control is. And all of a sudden, boom, there is the kick out of the group. Bayley turns face. Maybe she gets back up with Naomi. Something along that line. I think by Elimination Chamber time, that match will be made fully clear of what's going to happen for WrestleMania, but it just how they're going to get there. But I think Monday Night Raw is going to be key because of the fact that they actually can now use the whole of Damage Control on Monday night. They caused chaos last week. They'll hopefully do the same this upcoming Monday as well. Yeah,
I mean, I just completely forgot about the whole tag team title scenario and the fact that they can go to. So yeah, you probably are right. Like I said, it's going to be must watch for Monday. So like, just to see how they get around it and all this kind of stuff. There's loads of little bits and pieces, like especially again with the men's rumble, like how they're going to if and how they're going to still get to doing Punk versus Seth, and like, do you know what I mean? It's how many years have we been sitting there going like, I need a reason to want to watch Raw. Do you know what I mean? I don't just want to turn up and then like, I don't know, we get 2 out of 3 falls matches every match is a 2 out of 3 falls because Vince doesn't want no wrestling during the commercial breaks. And now the fact that I can sit and turn around and go every week and go, I need to watch Raw because, legitimately interested to see how story-wise they're going to book this. And I think it's very strange for WWE to turn around and say that, because normally it's just a case of like, this is what it's going to be, and we're not going to change it. We're not going to even tease it. Like it's just like I said a little while ago. It's fresh, and it just makes it more interesting.
Absolutely. Mike and Jordynne have both made reference to the Batista segment back in 2005. Obviously, there's the contracts there of like which we're going to pick, the Raw or the SmackDown. You see the thumb up, then the thumb down. Should they go that avenue where Bayley makes that decision, get that big pop from the crowd there?
I'd like to see put their own spin on it. I would like. This is the good thing about that, like, again, because Triple H is in charge. Like he's gonna have. I imagine he's got some sort of clever way of doing it, like again referencing the men's rumble last night, but the fact that after Cody won he pointed straight to Roman, I was like, okay, I like that, that's something new. So I'm hoping that they're going to do the same with Bayley, and they're going to have some sort of new story beat. Like, I don't get me wrong, I like the Batista angle of it, but I'd like them to do something of their own, sort of something new and refreshing that, do you know what I mean, it's just something we haven't seen before.
Absolutely, yeah. It's good to have its own twist. It's to do a Friends quote of don't want to do the whole scenario. It would take too long. But it's just like, it's not going to be exactly like last time. Something that was good before. You're not going to exactly do a carbon copy again. So it should have their own little twist, own little spin on it. But certainly was good. All in all, then, Bayley wins the Royal Rumble. We talked about the potential of Bayley. We talked about Jordynne Grace, TNA. We talked about Jade Cargill. We've pretty much talked about a lot of the detail of the match. So all in all, star rating for the Women's Royal Rumble match.
I'd have to say a 9. I think it had everything in it. It had excitement, drama, good wrestling. I can't really go anything lower than a 9. Like I said, I just throw it in. Do you want a star rating or do you want it out of 10?
I guess with a star rating, you'd be going 4.5 then.
A star rating, I'll go 4.5.
I like that. I mean, I'm going to go for a solid 4. For me, I think I really enjoyed it. For me, I'm not going to say just yet it's the best Women's Rumble ever, just purely because I think I want to watch it one more time just to make my mind up. Sometimes you see things the first time, you want to refresh yourself, see it again. Did I see it right as last time? And I really enjoyed, believe it or not, the Pandemic Rumble. I really enjoyed when Bianca Belair won. And I think last year's Women's Rumble was fantastic as well.
I was going to say.
It's in top 3. For sure, it's in the top 3. Is it the top one? To be determined.
I'd have to rewatch last year's one because I sat there and thought about it earlier, and I was like, do you know what? I really did enjoy the whole Rhea going from 1 to, do you know what I mean, doing the whole thing, just doing the unthinkable. So I'd have to rewatch that one again. Like I said, I think for this one, I just think it was the freshness of it, and like the fact that they showed the graphic before the match and they've only got 4 entrants, and like you texted me during the day and said avoid spoilers because I think Jordynne Grace had actually been spoiled on the internet and people knew she was going to be in it. It was going around on X or whatever. So I'm glad that I missed it all because, do you know what I mean? I enjoy it. I really enjoyed it from an aspect of just like, I know who 4 of the people are going to be. The rest of it's all going to be a complete surprise.
Yes, and actually, she actually put a tweet out or an Instagram out of her being at home as well. I thought it was brilliant as well. I love that little twist there. Yeah, someone gave me some stick on my one of my shorts that I did of the number predictions. Easy for me to say. Give me stick for that. Number predictions for the Rumble. I said, yeah, you got some people wrong. Well, it's predictions. They only gave us about 10 names of the men's before I did so, and 4 of the women. So I'm not going to get every single one correct. So yeah, for that person, thank you very much. I hope that you at least watched the whole thing, especially after the Rumble had already been on air as well. But anyway, let's go into the comments anyway, because we've got quite a few in. We're going to try and get through the best of what's on topic, and we'll try and come back to some of the others later. But first off, they're going to try and power through them. We've got a comment in here from Jordan that says, who had Jade Cargill in the final 3 of the Rumble last night? We had a winning, so we kind of did. Yeah. Eric says, I can't wait to see Io when Bayley picks her. And to be fair, Io's face will be a picture. I'm pretty sure with that as well. Pierre is happy that Liv is there, which is good to see. Ray in the house. Ray, hope you're doing well. Went crazy when Jordynne Grace was in the Rumble. It was the best surprise of the Rumble. I would agree it's my favorite surprise of the Rumble as well. Which one was your favorite?
Yeah, I'd have to say Jordynne Grace, just because, like I said, we all kind of knew Naomi was coming back. I mean, we all predicted Jade Cargill was going to make her debut. I'd say Jordynne Grace was probably the best one, if not Tiffany Stratton, because Tiffany Stratton did have a really good showing as well.
She did indeed, yeah. Jordynne Grace being in the Royal Rumble is more crazy than Mickie James, since Jordynne Grace is a homegrown star from TNA, exactly, not been involved in WWE before. Yeah. I would agree with that. Marcel in house. Marcel, thank you for joining us. Hope you are doing well.
Honestly,
go on.
Just to say about Jordynne Grace, I'm gutted that no one said anything or asked Triple H about it more on the post press conference, because obviously a lot of people ask questions about everything that's gone on this week, but not one person even like bothered sitting there going, so what does this mean for the future? Like, is there a possibility like we could get more crossovers with other wrestlers and stuff? Not one single person asked that, and I thought that would be a much more newsworthy story coming out of this show, because it was such a great moment.
Especially after a positive show as well. Obviously, it's been a bit of a dark few days for the wrestling world. So the idea that we can have a positive spin in the weekend, it would have been nice to have had a couple more questions on that. But hey, it wasn't to be. I don't blame people asking for the questions on the other stuff either, to be fair, though. I would say that in my opinion. But Jordan, fancy booking already. AJ Styles versus Josh Alexander will be a match great for TNA. Will Ospreay will be, though, in AEW very, very shortly. So that will be, unfortunately, not possible. But if it goes AEW, sign me up for that too. P.S. It's always a pleasure. Pat McAfee on commentary. He is right now one of the greatest commentators with Jim Ross and Michael Cole. We did do a great job last night.
Yeah, just the chemistry when you come out with Corey alone is just something that makes me die with laughter anyway. But yeah, man, he is easily one of my favorite color commentators, man. He's so much fun.
Absolutely. Roger, not a fan, by the way, of Jade Cargill. Although Roger has said that in the past. There said was a fan until Jade came in. Was more happy when Jade got eliminated. So pretty much enjoyed the last 4 seconds of the Rumble from the number 28 spot. Marcel said, glad that Cody won. Now time to finish the story. Get rid of part-time lazy Roman. Or we'll be getting there, don't you worry. We'll be talking about that. Was we happy with the men's and women's Royal Rumble winners? Yeah, I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm not going to complain. Well, we could talk more in depth about the men's a bit later on, but obviously wanted Jade to win just purely because I wanted to be a bit different with my prediction, I suppose, really. I felt everyone was predicting Bayley, and I had a slight fantasy booking idea in mind. But I think Bayley is fun, and I think it's great for her to get her moment. She's not had the stand-up moment like a lot of the other 4 horsewomen have.
Yeah, and like everyone forgets, or some people may forget that Bayley obviously never came up when Charlotte, Becky, and Sasha did. So, I mean, she stayed behind in NXT and kind of carried on being there. And yeah, Bayley's just always been like, I think I wouldn't say underappreciated, but just like I think once Becky got to the point where it was the man, and then you had Charlotte and you had Sasha, it was kind of like Bayley was the one that was left trailing in terms of achievements almost. But like I said, with a Rumble win, now she's going on to Mania. Do you know what I mean? I think it's just a well-earned, dues from all the graft that she's put in over the years and stuff like that. But in terms of the winners, it's just safe booking, man. Like, you can't really go wrong. Like, CM Punk is obviously a very questionable character, and obviously you never really tell what's going to happen 1 minute to the next with him. So booking Cody is obviously the safest bet. But yeah, I think with Bayley, it's a safe bet, but it's also just well earned.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly well earned indeed. And as CD says here, just she needed that Royal Rumble win. Now she's got it, and she might, you never know, get a WrestleMania main event. Certainly it's a singles championship match at WrestleMania, something she's not had. She's been in a fatal 5-way championship match at WrestleMania, but not been in a singles one. So it would be good to see. Was there any wrestlers in the men's and women's Royal Rumble that he was not happy being in the Royal Rumble? No, not for me. I mean, there were obviously some people I'd like to have seen in the Rumble matches that weren't there, but for whatever reason they was not in there, whether it was injuries, whether it was just they wasn't booked. But no, I don't take away from the people that are actually in the match. It's good for those talents to get that exposure and get the opportunity.
I almost feel like the men's should be 40 men because they have such a big men's roster nowadays that, like, I know it's every 90 seconds for an entrant, but I think if you dropped it down to 60, you could then start doing 40 and get more of the guys in there. Because, like, you had certain people in, and I'm not discrediting, you had people like Ivar in there, and it was like, yeah, okay, he's okay being in there. But then we said before we come online that the fact that we didn't have the likes of Trick Williams in there, and I was kind of like, I think in terms of entrance, I was almost like expecting a few more surprises, and was kind of only slightly like let down by it. But I can't actually say I was disappointed. I mean, don't get me wrong, R-Truth coming out in the Women's Rumble was hilarious, and I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Yeah, we didn't actually mention that part. It's one part we forgot about the Women's Royal Rumble. The fact that he came out in Valhalla's number in the 24 spot, and then got into the ring and was a bit like, "Whoa, where's all the men?" If you've ever walked into the wrong toilet, it's kind of one of those moments, isn't it? You look around, I don't see the urinal anywhere. Where? Oh, hello. Okay, right. I better go. I'm in the wrong room. It kind of had that vibe for it. But R-Truth still eliminated by Nia Jax. I don't know if they're going to class that, but then Valhalla, of course, got eliminated anyway. But again, literally, it was a fun spot with R-Truth, and to be fair, R-Truth was legendary as well in the men's Rumble as well, and actually managed to come up with a very creative spot of his own for there. Truth is just hilarious, and he's been really on a roll since getting back to WWE. It's been almost a national treasure, it feels, at this point.
I really wanted to make a reference to him when he was K-Quick as well. I really want at some point for them to bring that up.
That would be quite fun. Yeah, just do it as a right good throwback. Where was Dragunov and Pete Dunne? Obviously not around in this show, unfortunately. But Pete Dunne would have been one I would have expected. Dragunov. I mean, I thought that Leon Valkyrie would have been in the Women's Rumble, but clearly the NXT champions were not used for this show. Dragunov were meant to be selling an injury as well at the minute, but will be fine for Vengeance Day next Sunday. So maybe the focus is fully on there.
I think that's more just probably protecting the champions because they are top champions of the NXT brand, whereas you don't really want them coming in. Like, it's the same reason why you haven't got Seth in there. Do you know what I mean? Or Roman in the Rumble is kind of the same thing, I would imagine.
Absolutely, yeah, totally. And obviously we'll get him injured for the big show next week. But fun fact, Bayley joins Ric Flair being number 3 winning the Royal Rumble. Exactly, indeed. I guess they maybe them and Bianca Belair, I believe, are the ones that hold the number 3 entrants that are winning. CD has KO and Zelina Vega winning Money in the Bank this year. We actually have our predictions already available on the channel for that one, believe it or not. And also CM Punk not winning the Rumble means there is a possibility of Damian Priest cashing in, making Seth versus CM Punk with no titles. Interesting. We're not calling coming asking if CM Punk will win at Elimination Chamber. They're diving into this part early, but I would say yes.
Yeah, I would have thought so. It's just again, it's kind of like you've had two people win the Rumble, and the Rumble win is supposed to guarantee you a main event. And if you're going to do Punk versus Seth, how do you logically guarantee that should be the main event of one of the nights now? Because it just takes me back to last year when Charlotte and Rhea should have been main event for night 1, and unfortunately they bumped it for the tag team title match. Not that I'm complaining, both matches were really good. In fact, I thought Charlotte versus Rhea was my match of the year. But it's a case of, if you're going to advertise the Rumble as a main event shot, then you should get the main event spot.
Should. I agree. 100% agree with that. Everything you just said there. Ray says, was there anyone that you wanted to return that didn't return in the Rumble? That's a great question. I think I wanted AJ Lee in there. That's someone I wanted in there just for a cameo. I thought that would have been awesome. It felt like it was the right time for it. But for whatever reason, it just didn't happen.
I mean, for the women's one wise, I mean, yeah, AJ, Sasha, maybe I thought Sasha coming out, like when it was getting to that number 30, and obviously we talked about it previously on the prediction show, and I was kind of like, do you know, I really hope it is Sasha now, because I think it would just add to this, even more to this already great Rumble. Like, I'm not gutted that she didn't come back, but I just thought it would have been something extra.
Absolutely. Dakota Kai is still injured by the looks of things, Jordan. That's why she was not in the match there. And Liv apparently joining Triple H as 2 people that have back-to-back runner-up, according to Eric Douglas there. Thank you for that there. Got the You Can't See Me crowd with R-Truth last night. A lot of R-Truth fans going on at this particular moment here in the comments. We'll take a couple more and then we will go on to the next match, because we would like to get through. Just hello to Noob and Co, by the way. And Timber Place suggesting how Jimmy and Jay was great starting the Rumble. We will get to them when we get to the men's Royal Rumble match, but we will say yeet to it for sure. Nubia says, I believe Bayley going to be kicked out of Damage Control on Monday because Bayley didn't save Asuka and Kairi Sane from being eliminated in the Rumble match. And there certainly is a reason that could be the case, Newbie. Could be on saying, I think that certainly could be a lovely little storyline beat just to get things rolling.
The only thing I'd say is that the whole point was that Bayley was supposed to win the Rumble. So regardless of Kairi and Asuka being eliminated, the point was that Bayley was supposed to win, and that's what happened. So if they can get around that, sure.
We'll see how we go. Shinsuke, of course, got eliminated by Cody Rhodes. He just talks a big game, but never wins the CD. You are true with that. But looking on here right now, I think we can move on in the meantime. CD just says here we need some back-to-back winners from time to time. And I think we agree from time to time. It's been 25 years. It's good that we didn't get that now.
I wouldn't be surprised if Cody goes and wins it again next year and we get a three-peat.
All depends on Roman this year with that story, but we'll be talking more on that in a bit of detail very, very shortly. But we'll move on in the meantime, because we should get to the other matches. We could easily talk about the women's and the men's Rumbles now, but we've got 2 other matches we need to quickly dive into first. Of course, Roman wins, lol, retains the Undisputed WWE Universal Championship versus LA Knight, AJ Styles, and Randy Orton. So pretty much here, just to sum this up kind of nicely, LA Knight hit his finisher on Roman Reigns. AJ Styles broke up the pin. AJ then hit the Styles Clash on Roman Reigns. Of course, then that was broken up afterwards. Then we saw Randy Orton hitting some beautiful RKOs, including one on Roman Reigns, which was absolutely sublime. But this was the point that Solo Sikoa made the save. Roman didn't kick out. It was a save from Solo. Solo doing the spike, I believe, to Randy Orton, LA Knight. Then going to go around do the barricade spot with AJ Styles. Mrs. Styles goes through the barricade himself. We then see Reigns looking to do the stacked pin, which I thought was pretty cool. The ref was up. And the reason that the ref didn't make the count was because all shoulders were on the mat. I thought that was a fun little note they made there. No one was actually pinning those 2 guys at the time. Roman looking for Styles to do the ultimate stack, turns around and gets phenomenal forearmed. AJ Styles goes for the stack, where everyone gets out at the same time at the 2 count. I thought that was a fun looking moment as well. And what I thought was really, really good was this finish. I really liked the way they actually ended the match because Randy Orton wasn't in the mix at this point. LA Knight and AJ Styles with the mix up there, going into the rope, and AJ with the phenomenal forearm sort of crashing into the rope. Roman taking LA Knight out and then hitting the spear on AJ Styles to pick up the pinfall. For me, all in all, I'm going to say, sounded up very positive when I talk about this match. I really like the finish. I think the finish is great. I thought that this match was fine. I'm going to stick with fine, not great. But what I didn't like was I didn't think this match needed Solo. Now, I kind of understand the idea that this is the bloodline and this is the way that Roman works and operates. And if he's going to be this long-reign champion, he should be a dominant champion. However, this is how he retains at this point because he's kind of like the mafia boss that's on the edge. Like, finish the story. If we think about finishing the story, Roman now is almost desperate himself because it's all about keeping the title at any cost. It's all about the numbers. It's not the fact that he's the best anymore. I kind of understand all of that, but I just felt in this match, Solo could have maybe tried to get involved and gone wrong earlier because these guys that were in the match already with Roman were always going to cancel each other out. So I think that's my nitpick with the match and why it doesn't get as high a grade from me. However, Roman Reigns was always going to retain here, and it was the right thing he retained in a fatal 4-way. He needs to lose that title clean in a one-on-one match.
Yeah, like I said at the top of the show, the fact that the WWE Universal Undisputed Heavyweight Championship is in the sponsored match on the card, you would never, ever, ever going to see Roman Reigns losing with a ring that's plastered in Slim Jim advertisement. It's just not something that's ever going to happen. But I might be slightly higher up on you than this because I really like the fact that at one point it felt like Roman was fighting 3 different fights, and it wasn't a case of like it was 4 against like it was a fatal 4-way. It just felt like almost like a handicap match at one point. Roman's taking everyone finishers. We obviously get the awesome spot with LA Knight and Orton on its side on the announcers tables. Hopefully Orton hasn't re-damaged his shoulder again. But yeah, I don't know. I thoroughly enjoyed this, and it was kind of like it just seems like something fresh. I can understand where you're coming from, though. Yeah, it is a kind of a oh yay, Roman wins, lol, so someone interferes, lol, kind of thing, and it was like it's predictable. But the fact that it wasn't like I can probably let it slide because it was like halfway through the match, not right at the end of where it's getting to the key point of where we're deciding who's going to win this. And I think that's actually probably more to do with building a story between maybe AJ and Solo for Mania or something like that. Like that's the only reason I could possibly think why they would have done that. But hey, it's Roman Reigns and the streak continues, and yes, he's obviously going to go on to, because I presume he's not going to Chamber, so he's going to go on to Mania now. But yeah, as I said, I think I rated slightly higher than you. I thought it was a really good match. It was entertaining, and yeah, there's not really much more I can say about it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, look, it's not a bad match. I definitely would go back and watch it over again. And like I say, I think it's just the Solo part for me. I just feel like it was an extra piece. It's kind of like, you know, when you order a pizza and there's one topping too many. It's like you could have just done without like that one ingredient extra, and just, you know, you get too full rather than being just right. So I kind of think that's kind of where I was there. Speaking of being head of the table, just being at a buffet at the moment, it feels for me. But you know, it's that's kind of how I felt with it. But all in all, I think it still was a solid match. I think more it builds for Solo and Randy because Randy was the one that clearly had that pinfall.
Okay, yeah.
So I feel I could see that being an explanation potentially if John Cena doesn't come back for WrestleMania 40 for revenge, because Solo then could have the dominant win over John Cena at Crown Jewel. Does he get one and over Randy Orton at WrestleMania? Because that's really a way to put him on the map.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can. Yeah, that's probably the more logical thinking than what I was talking about. It's just it was just a case of the scenario I was thinking of. But as for your pizza analogy, you should probably just stick to margaritas, mate.
Well, I'm one of those that pineapple belongs to the pizza. I won't know, controversial or not. Don't hit the like button. There you go. If you like pineapple on the pizza, hit that like button. But all in all, did we like this fatal 4-way? I think obviously LA Knight AJ Styles may carry over their feud to Elimination Chamber in the singles match. But what would be a star rating for this one then? Roman Reigns retaining that championship.
I'd probably say 3 and a quarter.
I'm going to go for a 3. bang on a 3 for me on this one. But let's go into the comments anyway. We're going to try and catch up where I left off because there's a lot of comments coming in. We're trying to get most of the comments up that we can. And apologies for any questions that are missed. And I'll try and get to them as soon as I can. But there was a Rumble in 2011 with 40 minutes of Del Rio won. Thank you, Roger, for confirming that. Obviously, you do try and block that out as best as I can, though. But WWE's excuse, obviously, of winning a Royal Rumble was the main events of Mania. Temple says, but obviously, good little note here as well. Jimmy was 2, so was Naomi. How fun is that both of them had the number 2 spot, just like R-Truth had 24 in both of the Rumbles. But yeah, that's what it is. Robbie says, hi guys, how are you doing today? We're doing very well, thank you, Robbie. Thank you for joining us, and I hope you were doing well. We're still recovering from last night, by the way. Only 4 hours sleep. I think Alex Stevenson next to me would know how that feels as well.
Absolutely. I think I've had about maybe 5.
You've had about 5. I chose to just wake up today. I thought that was just the best way for me at this particular moment, but there you go. That's that RKO spot on Roman was ridiculous. It really was good. I really liked it. CD says, I think the referee should have counted the Allen pinfall around Randy Orton. Sure, both shoulders were on the mat, but the referee did that with Kane Edge back in 2010, and both shoulders were down. So that was a draw. Yeah, I suppose it could have been.
Just to say as well, though, the fact that I made a joke about it in the predictions about a triple stack pinfall, and then Heyman teases it on the kickoff show as well. I thought was like, no serious way are we going to have Roman do a triple stack pinfall, man. And the fact that it was one of the story beats as well, I just thought was so clever yet so stupid, man. Because it was like, what a way to bury 3 guys, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thankfully, it didn't fully come to fruition, but it came close as a spot in the match. I thought was really, really good there. Jordan asked, how did we feel like Logan Paul was a WWE superstar?
Hey, man, he's delivering in ring, which is the most important thing, man. Like, his character work's kind of weird because he almost is presenting himself like a YouTuber on WWE TV. Like, he doesn't present himself like a superstar. It's just a weird nichey thing that I noticed. But otherwise, I've got no complaints, man.
I have no complaints either because I know that not everyone's a fan of Logan Paul, but I judge him on what I see on my TV screen. I didn't really follow him before, and I judge on what I see now. And obviously, he's a WWE superstar, if you will, United States champion. He knows how to get a reaction out of people, and that's something that a lot of wrestlers in the industry can't do, and that's something he does very, very well. He gets people passionate to hate him. I think he's very good in ring as well. He has had some great matches in the short time he's been doing it, and yeah, I would say that in the short time he's probably better than 70% of the roster. That's just how it is. So yeah, from that state, I'm not going to complain. But yeah, when it comes to the match, though, maybe my least favorite match of the night. However, I do think that the finish was very clever the way that it was done. I know it's not going to be to everybody's taste, this finish, but Logan Paul retained the United States Championship. Obviously, Kevin Owens, that wrist was the target in the match, as you suggested on the preview show that we did. Kevin Owens obviously did get back into the match, but obviously the entourage of Logan Paul that helped Logan Paul win the United States Championship to begin with, trying to get involved again. Referees put a stop to it this time. This led to Grayson Waller and Austin Theory coming out. The knuckles get passed around to Austin Theory, so Theory can give those to Logan Paul. Logan Paul tries to use them on Kevin Owens, which of course then gets countered. KO hits Logan Paul with the brass knuckles. Looks like he's going to win the United States Champion. And from a blind referee to this whole scenario, eventually gets that perfect 20/20 vision, sees on the 2 count that KO is wearing the brass knuckles, and we get a DQ finish. It looks like this one could just roll over to Elimination Chamber.
Very well may do. Very well may do. Yeah. It's I was honestly worried about this one because, like I said, we talked about it in predictions and said that it will be the forearm that causes the problems and is the reason why he's going to get lost. But then to pleasantly have a DQ win, I thought was just a genius way to spin it. Like, the production of this felt weird as well because it was kind of like when Logan's like little goon squad friend come out to help him like they normally do. It almost felt like no one was aware that he was supposed to be doing this, like security, and like it almost felt like. Do you remember that Mania a couple of years ago when that NFL player jumped the barrier and one of the security guards stopped him, and it was kind of like, no, he's meant to be doing this. It almost felt like that, and it was kind of like. I don't know, it just almost made it feel like someone had botched up really badly somewhere. But I said, having Waller and Theory come out, and then the finish that we get, just a genius way to finish it. And yeah, like you said, it could very well push on the Chamber, and we get another one, or like, hey, maybe we get another United States title chamber match, because obviously Theory did it last year, so why not say Logan Paul can do it again this year? But I wouldn't be against seeing it again. I just think that if you're going to do it again, I think you trying to now have KO lose clean. You should have done it the one time, because I think otherwise you'd have to do something like a chamber match for it.
Yeah, maybe it could be the way they could go. Obviously, Logan Paul was in Money in the Bank in the UK, so to go to Australia, could defend it in the Chamber, could be a way. We know Roman's not advertised for that show. Seth is currently injured, so if they do, they could do number one contender matches. But if the title's going to be on the line, you'd imagine it'd be Logan Paul or Rhea that could be the most likely. Gunther cannot travel to that show either, so it's going to be interesting how they're going to get around it from here. Obviously, we say clever finish, mainly because it protects Kevin Owens, just being pinned to the mat on that first go. If they find a way to do it in the second match, they can do it in another cheating way again, but maybe it's like you say, a stipulation match that gets around it. So it's going to be interesting. For me, it was just, I felt this match also suffered a little bit, because I don't know if other people like this when watching the Rumble, because I'm so excited for the Rumble matches that almost the rest of the card does matter, but the main title match should happen. So this kind of felt like this awkward filler moment was like, as soon as this match is done, the next Rumble match comes on. So it's kind of like you're just waiting for this one almost to finish a little bit. So I feel like that kind of maybe played its part into this match a little bit as well. But all in all, I thought it was okay. I'm going to go straight into the rating to it so we can get onto the comments in the main Rumble match. I'm going to go for literally a 2.5 most. Maybe 2.25 is the perfect one for me.
Yeah, I'd probably have to say a 2.5 just for the creative finish again. And I think that's what that match needed, to rather than just having Logan Paul win, was a creative, unique finish, because it made a talking point. Like, otherwise, this really would be a match that wouldn't be worth talking about. But so yeah, the finish has probably saved it more than anything.
Absolutely there. Thank you very much, by the way, for all the comments coming in. People are actually talking amongst themselves now. But Temple, how very dare you hit the dislike button for those outrageous pizza takes? Well, there you go. Feel free to share what pizza you would like in the comments below. We may bring a few of them up. But Eric says, how's the baby? Well, hopefully asleep. Hopefully. We'll probably just tease it now, haven't we, if I have to disappear for 30 seconds at any point. R-Truth is a national treasure. There is pizza talk going on in the comments, which is nice to see. CD says that I thought Kevin Owens would have won the United States Championship for a split second. It did feel like it was going to happen for a split second, but the way the ref did actually go there for that finish, it was actually done pretty well. Tempo actually liked the finish to this one as well, and would have liked Tama Tonga in the Rumble. It was a name that I actually was hoping would see as well, but clearly didn't happen, unfortunately, in the end. But thank you, CD. So going to hit the like button, never hit that dislike button. I encourage comments like that in our comment section. Do we think there should have been more than 4 matches at the Rumble? I'm going to say no. I thought that this show flowed nicely. I wouldn't have made any changes.
Yeah, no, it paced quite well. I mean, I know some people thought that it was still too long with 4 matches, but I say I can't really complain. I felt it was great. Let's be honest, the Rumble matches are the reason why we watch this pay-per-view. So just to have 2 little filler matches in between, which weren't that bad. I really liked it.
I really liked it as well. I think if you're going to have Rumble stay one night, this is the way to go going forward. I think a 5th and a 6th match puts this near like a 5-hour show, and it's too much. So for me, it's just right. Imagine Cody being back-to-back Rumble and winning in 2014. If you'd have said that, yeah, I would have thought you'd have gone crazy. I'm not going to lie to you. But yeah, think would have been saying Stardust probably at that point as well there. But hey, look, we can finally get in and dive in to what was the main event of this show, and we get to talk about our second Royal Rumble match. And of course, Cody Rhodes is the one that went back to back. Of course, the American Nightmare, the dream came true. But of course, before we can get to the end, we must go to the start. And as Temple Plays said in the comments earlier on a couple of occasions, what a great start having Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso kick off the Rumble.
Yeah, when Jay comes out, and I'm like, oh, I know who number 2 is going to be now. Kind of makes sense, because Jay has that awesome entrance where he gets the crowd hyped up, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to remember that for predictions next year. Who has a really long, over elaborate entrance? That's going to be my number 1. But dude, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's just, I don't think the story played out as well as what I thought it was going to in the Rumble. Like, Jimmy gets eliminated halfway through by someone like just someone obscure, and I was like, that's not how I was expecting this to go. But I could be like, I don't know, maybe they can change it between now and Mania. But like I said, what a genius way to start the Rumble. The standoff, the face-to-face, the facial expressions that Jay was pulling was almost like just like a great bit of storytelling for not actually doing anything, but like the gritting of his teeth and the, do you know what I mean? His face just tightening in like around his mouth, around his eyes, just realizing this is brothers, and then we get the standoff. Not realizing, I didn't realize Jimmy's about 2 inches taller than Jay for twins is a bit of a shocker, but yeah, man, no, I really liked it.
Yeah, I thought it was really good as well there. Like you said, the facials were amazing. Cinema, I believe the kids are calling it these days. It had that sort of filter. But like you said, I believe Jimmy Uso, comments, tell me if I'm wrong. I believe Bron Breakker eliminated Jimmy Uso from the Rumble, which obviously at that point it was a bit of a surprise how that happened. I thought that they would, get some sort of interaction which would have led to a bit of something down the line, but the fact they even just started it off I thought was a good way to go with Jimmy and Jay just to do that, and I think it was a very clever way to begin the Rumble. But obviously then going then further in, obviously we didn't have to wait too long. Andrade was a couple of entrants further down the line as well, back in WWE. How's it feel to have Andrade back?
Like I said, hopefully they can book him right, because I think that's the biggest problem that he's had for the last 5 years, really. Ever since he's been since he left NXT, he's just like been booked really poorly. So hopefully they can just do something better with him. And the fact that we had the interaction between Santos and him as well, and he brushes it off like he doesn't care about what the hell's going on between the LWO and Legado del Fantasma. It's going to be a really interesting story beat. So hopefully, like I said, he's just booked better now that he's back.
That's what we'd like to see. Obviously, I think Temple mentioned it on the prediction show. We obviously talked about the idea as well about being linked in with the LWO chaos going on at the moment with Legado del Fantasma. Obviously, that did play a part into the early part of the Royal Rumble. Santos Escobar, of course, being number 7. I think Carlito was number 10. Of course, Santos was eliminated, I believe, by Carlito from the Royal Rumble. It was a fun Apple spot done also in the match with them. Of course, Dominic Mysterio being around at the same time also. Carmelo Hayes was the first NXT entrant in the Rumble as well, entry number 5. How did you feel Carmelo did with his performance?
I felt he did okay, but it's kind of like we've been seeing him for ages, and I don't know, like he had some great offensive showing. It's just a case of I said to you again in predictions that I really thought if you were going to pick one of them, I would have rather had Trick Williams come out, because he's just hot with the crowd at the minute, and he's just someone that, do you know what I mean, will get the crowd going.
Yeah, I agree with you. The thing is for me that I liked Carmelo Hayes' showing. I think he did very well in the Rumble. That I've got no problem with the way. He eliminated Grayson Waller, who was number 3 in the Rumble. But what I would say is that I think it made more sense storyline-wise, and I'm thinking about NXT here, not thinking about the main roster, to have had Trick Williams in this spot and not Carmelo Hayes. Could you imagine if there was a moment where Carmelo Hayes was like backstage, I'm here, I want to be a part of the Rumble. It's like all the 30 spots have been filled up. We've allocated that last spot just a short time ago, and it's like he doesn't get to go in there. It's like, well, all of a sudden he sees like Trick Williams come out. It's like, hang on, Trick Williams just took my spot. I've been the one that's been on SmackDown the last few weeks. Just plays up to it just that a little bit more. I think it made more sense. But hey, it wasn't to be. To be fair, Booker T wasn't on commentary, so maybe Pat McAfee would have done a great job though with the Trick stuff coming down the aisle. We never know. But hey, it's one of those things. But Trick was on SmackDown, as CD did mention here, and believes that he will do better than Melo on the main roster as well, because he was over on SmackDown in Miami. But obviously we had Karrion Kross in there as well, Bobby Lashley, with all that stuff going on with those two guys. Obviously Bobby was limited by a bit of attack on a few guys, but Bobby did get Kross out beforehand. Kross also pulled Lashley's leg to the floor actually to do that last bit of elimination to get Lashley out of there. Authors of Pain got involved, the Street Profits got involved, so that sort of feud is going to continue with these guys battling towards the back end area. But all filler feuds for me. It didn't really get going this Rumble, I feel, to this point till Cody came in at entry number 15.
I still don't even think it really gets going then. I don't think this actually really takes off till maybe Gunther or Bron Breakker come. Bron Breakker come in, Jesus, the whole dynamic of the match changed, and just felt like a brand new spark of energy and a spark of life was injected into the match. But I just felt like it was just when you sit there and watch the old Rumbles where it's kind of like just guys get in the ring, guys throw each other out. There was nothing really apart from who was it that done? There was someone done a springboard DDT on their entrance. I'm trying to think who it was now.
Trying to think.
Someone. Yeah, I think someone runs in. Not even been the men's one. That might be the women's one I'm thinking of. But someone runs in, does a springboard DDT off the ropes, and just absolutely destroys it. But apart from that, like I said, it just felt like kind of like an average Rumble, really, more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, there is some. It is. Yeah, spoiler alert. It's a bit more mid this Rumble compared to some other ones, and I think I can see that actually currently with the way that you see the comments to earlier to some of them now. It's not as busy as it was earlier, but I think that's because of the fact that a lot of it comes down to the finish of this Rumble rather than actually being the meat and bones of what got us towards the end. But like you say, when Gunter come in, it sort of picks up a little bit. Obviously, Kofi didn't have any big Kofi spots this year either. We saw then obviously, like I say, Bron Breakker coming in. Obviously, it was a fun moment, him taking out the likes of Finn Balor, as was mentioned up here, and Jimmy Uso. So tempo up here, which is true. 2 big eliminations shows he's got a bright spark in the future. Michael
Did he
Cole
eliminate Omos as well?
He did, yes, he did eliminate Omos as well.
That's a massive one as well. Did it eliminate Omos?
Absolutely, indeed, there. And obviously, Pat McAfee had a spot with these two in the Rumble. Decided after 38 seconds it wasn't for him. I'm going to be controversial, so I've getting a lot of praise for that. I didn't like it. I thought it was a waste of a spot.
That's the exact thing I thought as well. I went, what a waste of a spot. You could have had someone else in here. Like, I appreciate it because it was funny, but I totally agree with you. It was a waste of the spot. Like I said, I enjoyed it for the pure fact that it made me laugh.
I just felt for me that Pat McAfee has competed at WrestleManias and SummerSlams and won matches. I know that he may see, Austin Theory, Baron Corbin, this is Omos, and this is Bron Breakker. This is a different level. But I just kind of felt to myself a little bit like, you've wrestled. Like, it's not, if Michael Cole had been in that spot, I would have gone, fair play. It just felt like they were going for the 2001 Drew Carey spot. And for me, it worked because it was Drew Carey. Maybe outsiders may look and think, it's Pat McAfee, it kind of works, but I just feel we've seen Pat wrestle and we've seen him wrestle well. Obviously the match with Adam Cole in NXT as well. So I mean, we know he can do stuff. So for me, I was a bit sour and, like you say, a waste of a spot. And obviously, we've got to mention that Johnny Gargano was not in the Royal Rumble, and that would have been fun with a face off there with Andrade. Chad Gable wasn't in the. They were advertised Alpha Academy, and they weren't there. None of them. Maxine was in the women
numbers as well.
I don't remember seeing pick numbers, but they were advertised. They weren't on the match graphic, they were advertised.
Maxine picking her number.
Maybe. But I did like the commentary pick, by the way.
The men's one should be 40 because there's so many guys. Like, you even think about it, like there was no Xavier, no Chad Gable, no Otis. It was just so many. No Johnny Gargano, no Tommaso Ciampa. Like, it felt like there was a lot of people missing from this Rumble that you easily could have put in there. And like I said, for the fact that we only got Andrade as the one return, it kind of just felt lackluster, if anything.
I see the point. I mean, the thing is, in years gone by, say 15, 20 years ago, if you weren't in the 30 in the Rumble, you almost felt like there's no plans for you in this company. But these days it kind of feels like, there's so many talents under contract that it's not the end of the world if you're not part of that 30. You're not in the top 30 for the Rumble spot, but you still can have plans. Obviously, we're going to talk about DIY in a couple of seconds. A couple of questions come in, but Michael Cole, of course, does have that record of being the longest announcer in Royal Rumble, undefeated at WrestleMania 2. CD, I think you might be a coal miner at this rate there with comments like that, but
don't get me wrong, their commentary was on point all night, and especially after that whole McAfee entrance, I was dying with laughter because McAfee obviously being disgruntled and just telling Cole to shut up was just so funny, man.
Absolutely. Apparently, Santos did the springboard DDT. It looked so good, said Temple.
Santos, apologies, yeah.
It was Santos. Yeah. Do DIY and win the tag team titles against Judgment Day tomorrow on Raw. We'll quickly just break away from the Rumble for that question.
Yeah, I think they do. I think that they need to start at some point split these titles back up again.
I'm going to say no, but I think that they will win them in the next 4 weeks. I think DIY is the team. I just don't think it's going to happen tomorrow. I think they'll find a way to just delay it a bit longer. But I could be wrong. We'll see. But we'll get back into the men's rumble anyway, and this is where now my brain gets a little bit fuzzy again. But we do know that R-Truth did come in at the right spot at 24. We know he came in, and of course, Dominic Mysterio is still in the rumble at this point, who'd entered in at number 9. And there was a great little spot where R-Truth refused to get in the ring to help Judgment Day out because of the fact he wanted the tag. There was no ring rope, but he still went for the tag team spot, which then he got the hot tag to then do the attack in the ring and obviously do his John Cena stuff. I thought that was pretty darn awesome.
Do you know what? I can't knock it. It was hilarious, man. The fact that he obviously we'd had the ones before where he'd got a ladder out and all this kind of stuff, and it was like the thing was for me he'd been banging on. They'd done on the kickoff show. They'd interviewed him and all this kind of stuff, and he knew that he was in a rumble match because he was in a bullpen with loads of baseballs trying to redraw his number, and it was kind of like. So I can't understand why he thought he was in the tag team match. There was only one thing that was baffling, but hey. It's R-Truth, man. He sees invisible small people, so it kind of just goes with the nostalgia and the theme of R-Truth, really.
I love R-Truth. Obviously, we get then to I think the Miz was following after this, or JD McDonough, I think, followed actually not long afterwards, and JD
was before Truth. He was 23.
Yeah, okay, because he was attacked, wasn't he? And then he got thrown in the ring by R-Truth. He was attacked by Braun Breaker, who had been eliminated by Dominic Mysterio. That was a weird little moment, but. As we mentioned, he was supposed to do Brock's place. Was Brock going to be eliminated by Dominic? We'll never know. But that would have been interesting had that had happened. But hey, Dominic was your wrestler of the year last year. We wouldn't complain about that at the start of 24.
He was.
But at the same time, I mean, JD was eliminated very quickly from the Rumble, but we do know from, I can say category for 26, we got Damian Priest in the mix. That's when Truth got eliminated. CM Punk came in at 27. Of course, that was the famous winning Rumble name from back in the day, for the Rumble number from back in then. And then obviously we had, I'm trying to think now, a couple of the other numbers, but I know for number
Drew, and then Sammy.
There we are. Thank you. Ricochet 28, Drew at 29, and Sammy at 30. It just felt like with those last few numbers, here's your big hitters. This is where everything kicks in now.
Yeah, maybe aside from Ricochet, but then again, Ricochet's always one of those guys that they put in for these late moments because his selling is just phenomenal. I think he has a spot. I can't remember it exactly, but I think it's actually his elimination. Well, it's his elimination with Drew. Sells it fantastically. So you can see why he was in there as the one of the final entrants. But yeah, Sami Zayn being back, I was excited by it, man. It was like, I was like, oh, maybe Sammy wins. Maybe we get Sammy versus Roman at WrestleMania. Why not, man?
And he gets eliminated very quickly, doesn't he? Sammy lost about 4 minutes in the Rumble. It's a bit of a shame, really, with that one. Priest also getting eliminated. But I did like the fact that the battle of the final 6, they made it feel important, battling it down 6 to 5 to 4. Then we got to the final 4, obviously with Drew, Gunter, CM Punk, and Cody Rhodes. Drew got very cocky with CM Punk, saying, 2014 I was a boy, but now I own you now. Yeah. Obviously, that was the now in for Drew. Drew gets eliminated by CM Punk. I felt that with Drew, it made a lot of sense that he didn't win this Rumble. I think that if Drew had won this, would have been a massive mistake because he can almost say that he'll still blame someone else. He'll still blame Punk. He'll say he had a moment of weakness or whatever, and it's something that's against his realms, and he needs to find his way into WrestleMania. I feel that the full-on-fledged heel Drew McIntyre is coming, and I think him and Punk could have a really good little story going into Elimination Chamber, I think.
Yeah, my worry. This is the same thing I've been worried about the last couple of months with Drew. Is what does he do for Mania? Because we pretty much know he's not going to be. Well, he could be in the world heavyweight title scene with Seth and Cody, with Seth and Punk. But I don't know. That's the thing I'm worried about. Is like he's doing such great character work, but is it going to pay off in the long run? Because at the minute, I've got no story beats. I've got nothing off the top of my head that I'm sitting there thinking. I mean, I don't know. Is Gunter maybe an option? Because obviously, if Brock's not going to show up, what are they going to do with Gunter as well? Because that's the other thing as well. That at this present minute, I don't think Gunter as a WrestleMania opponent.
He could be. I mean, Sammy's the one with the rivalry, if you want, because Sammy was written out by Drew. But you feel now that Sammy's returned at the Rumble, they could do this at Chamber. But if all of them, because depending on how they want to book the Chamber, if all of them are in the Chamber trying to get this match with Seth Rollins and the Raw Superstars, and then with the last ones in the Rumble, it kind of makes sense for a lot of them to be in it if they do the same as last year. So they could find a way to delay things then through the Chamber, have like Drew, Sammy, and Punk all in that Chamber, and then obviously Punk gets through that. Drew and Sammy continue their thing. They have the singles match at Mania. That's probably the way around it. But it'll be interesting to see what they do. But obviously, we get down to the final three. We mentioned earlier on, Cody mentions to get Gunther out. He seems to have his number at the minute when it comes to Rumble matches. But love the fact that they had a lot of battles throughout the Rumble, Gunther and Cody. That was good. It felt like from when they were in the ring together, it was just like they continued on from what they had last year to finish off the men's Rumble in 23. So I thought that was a fun spot. And then again, for the second year in the run, we had a mini match to end it off, because once you had obviously the CM Punk and Cody Rhodes finish with those two, you really had a question mark at this moment. I mean, a lot of people probably felt like it was predictable going in that those two would be the final two, but you couldn't categorically say one word of it. It was definitely going to be one, not the other. Some people predicted one way, but you couldn't have said 100%. So it felt like it was a very exciting last 8 minutes of the match, in my opinion.
Yeah, I genuinely was surprised that. I mean, I said this to you when I texted you earlier and said that I was surprised that they went with Cody and Punk as the final two. But then again, if you'd have had anyone else, if you'd have had Gunther or Drew in instead of either of those people, you kind of would have known where the Rumble was going and who was going to win. Whereas the fact, if you leave it down to Cody and Punk, like, there were so many things that were like that were suggesting it was going to be Punk, and there was so many things that were suggesting it was going to be Cody. The fact that I think it actually made it less predictable, the fact that we had those two as the final two, because we said again in the predictions that Cody, like they were teasing everything about Cody going back to back with Rumbles, and that was my reason for picking Punk. And I was like, they're no way going to do it. That's the reason why they're banging on about the back to back stuff. They're not going to do it. It's all the ploy. It's all the storyline. It's what WWE does. Obviously, we have to start thinking differently now when it comes to WWE and booking. But that was my reason behind picking Punk. And then obviously as well, winning the Rumble guarantees you a main event spot at WrestleMania, which is why I thought, again, Punk was going to win. But like I said, having the two of them as the final two, I sat there and went, honestly, I don't know who's going to win now. And I think that was the whole point. Because like I said, if you'd have been Drew and Punk, you'd have been like, oh, well, Punk's going to win. If it was Drew and Cody, you got Cody's going to win. So the fact that they gave the final two down to Cody and Punk just made actually perfect sense in terms of booking.
It really did, and I thought it was a fun twist. The only thing for me was, obviously I was adamant the whole way through. I was like, Punk's winning, and then there was two storyline beats that just hit in the last few minutes of the match where I just went,
oh yeah,
oh. And the first one was commentary, and the commentary said, well, imagine CM Punk in the main event of WrestleMania. We may not have to imagine it. We could be just a few short moments away from it when CM Punk was on top of Cody. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh, that's a commentator's curse. And then literally we had about 2 minutes later, beautiful. Punk hits a pedigree on Cody. Everyone can probably put two and two together. The saltiness of 10 years ago with CM Punk, there was more that was meant behind that. Cody's been using the pedigree recently as well, which has its own ideologies from his time being away from WWE and stuff like that. So it was really fun to use that. And then we had the line from Cody said, I've not come back here after all this long to lose to Dusty's kid. And I just thought second he said that, two things came to mind. First, heel turns on. And secondly, it was just... you knew Cody was going to do it. And obviously Cody did do it, obviously, for a couple of seconds afterwards, which was great to see.
Just the fact that you rubber stamped and went, that's it, heel turns on. It's kind of like, it's so predictable that we know that that's where they're going with this angle, that it just makes me die every time, because it's like, yeah, then we all know that's where we're going. Punk's going to turn in heel. But yeah, it's like, I was exactly the same. And even when, like I said, Punk hits that first GTS and he doesn't eliminate him, and I'm like, that's it. Punk ain't winning, because there's no way Punk hits a GTS and then doesn't eliminate him. Again, another typical trope that is like, yeah, Cody's going to win this one now. And it's like, you can't help it, but it's just one of the things that we pick up all the time now. It's like watching Randy Orton doing a power slam. It's like, if he claps, you know he's going to hit it. If he doesn't clap, you know he's not going to hit it. Do you know what I mean? It's just one of them little wrestling tropes, and it annoys me because my brain is so triggered into watching for these things now that I can't really enjoy wrestling as much as I used to when I was a kid. But hey, man, I'm old. I can't help it.
You pick up a couple of tricks along the way, unfortunately, and that's what it is when you've been watching for as long, I suppose, as we have. And sometimes I'm sure the newer viewers probably kick on to some of those things as well. But it just for me, like it was good in a way because I felt the finish of the show was fantastic. I felt the Cody was there with the sign. Obviously, we've got a bit of that on the thumbnail as well for the video here. But like it just the moment then where we could see Roman and Seth were watching from skyboxes, and obviously Cody found where Roman was at the skybox and pretty much pointed immediately because, well, Roman's going to go on vacation now. Vacay is on the way for Roman for the next sort of 6 weeks. So let's just have them just not wasting any time. We're going to call now Cody wants to finish the story. So they pretty much set the WrestleMania main event there. And it felt special watching that moment because then it also starts hitting you. And I want to come back to Punk, but we'll start with Cody. It's like you start thinking to yourself, well, hang on. He's now the cover star of the 2K game. The slogan of it is finish the story. He's now won the Royal Rumble, which in a way makes the more sense of the two because of the fact Cody's got to go to the other show. Now it can actually be just the Raw chamber for the Raw World title. So it's like, it's okay because SmackDown's not even in the conversation anyway, if you judge with the Royal Rumble and how it performed. And it's like, you just get to the point where you think, right, okay, well, maybe, just maybe, Cody is going to finish the story.
Do you know the best part? Someone tweeted this out. Give props to it was Bama Dave. Bama Dave tweeted this out last night. And this analogy I thought was spot on. Cody is doing Rocky 2. He done Rocky 1 last year against Roman at Mania and he lost.
Yeah.
We're now at Rocky 2. And this year Cody goes on to Mania and beats Roman. I honestly, I was doubting that. We've said it. I've said it before. I said I'd be surprised if Roman. I wouldn't be surprised if Roman still wins at Mania and goes on, like again for another 6 months and stays undefeated and still doesn't lose that title at Mania. But the fact that Cody's now won, kind of makes me think that maybe this is it. Maybe this is Cody finishing the story and he wins because. It's not about the world title. It's about that one specific championship. That's what the story has always been about. Hell, I could be hell wrong. And like, again, I could be building myself up to that full sense of security like we do every time Roman has a match. And we turn around and go, is Roman going to lose? Yep, absolutely. This is it. He's losing to Drew. No problems at Clash at Cardiff. No problems. Nope. He's losing to Cody at WrestleMania. This is it. This is the end of the reign. And it could be the exact same thing. We might get to predictions in like 69 days times or whenever we do it and turn around and go, yep, that's it. Cody's winning, no problems. And Roman still may win. But maybe that's what they're trying to do. Who knows? But yeah, the fact that, like I said, I really like this finish as well. And the way he's automatically looked at the sign. And it was kind of like, I said this in the prediction show, or I might have said it at some point in last week when we were talking, that Cody challenging Roman was my biggest thing. Was like, if he doesn't win the Rumble, how does he go challenge Roman? You obviously brought up the whole thing about Elimination Chamber, and I was like, okay, yeah, cool, that kind of makes sense. But now that he's won the Rumble, it's the sound booking because now they don't have to go through that whole Chamber storyline. And now, when it comes to Seth, it makes more sense to book Seth's challenger for Mania because obviously Seth being injured. So do you know what I mean? This might have even just been a flip in the last 2 weeks where they've completely changed the booking on this story and gone, right, well, Seth can't wrestle until at least Mania. We'll flip the story and we'll do 6 Raw competitors going in the chamber to face Seth at Mania. Because if you look at it now, there is a lot more talent over there that can do it. You could put in, for instance, they're going to put Drew in, they're going to put Sammy in, they're going to put Punk in, then you can put in Priest again, although I don't know why, because the guy still has a briefcase that allows him to challenge at any point. But there's a lot more talent on Raw that can be in that chamber match, whereas they don't have to go through the whole, oh, well, he's free from Raw and he's free from SmackDown to challenge Roman thing.
Absolutely, yeah. And the thing is, like, obviously, I think Michael Cole said that with the Priest thing, it's like, well, there's no problem backing up in case something goes wrong with that briefcase. Not everyone cashes in successfully, so I think that's the idea of it. If you can get have two, why not have two? I guess is kind of the mindset with that. But I completely agree with you. I think like it's maybe all flipped on its head. As CD says here, Cody Rhodes may not be the cover star next year if he doesn't finish the story. But with all those slogans together, it just feels right. And obviously, The Rock hasn't come out at this point. You think that if they're going to build up Mania for Rock and Roman, they'd do that with time. I still go with what Assemble said on YouTube, top YouTuber Assemble, suggesting the idea that now that WWE is moving over to Netflix at the start of 2025, Rock, of course, now is part of TKO. They could actually just let Cody do the story this year. Maybe Roman comes out at the end of Mania and actually turns around all the next night and says, "Look, you've now lost the table. You've let the family down. Are you truly the head of the table? The only way to find out is to beat me at WrestleMania next year." And it's kind of like, whoa, okay, now we're going to set up this for the Netflix era, and it's Dwayne Johnson versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 41. That could just be the way that they just could do it and could go down, because Rock seems to be up for that match in a way.
Yeah, I mean, you're hoping, because obviously we've been victim to it so many times before, where they tease these dream matches and we never get them, and it's kind of like, obviously with everything that's gone down this week, not just obviously the bad stuff, but I'm talking about Rock being put on the board. I imagine there's probably a lot more things to be done on the business side with Rock being part of TKO now. There's probably more things in terms of sponsorships, endorsements, charities, or whatever these massive billion-dollar companies do. I imagine there's probably some things to do now where like he probably doesn't honestly have time to be part of Mania this year. But like you said, if they give it time, they give it a year to build it. And like you said, if obviously they get to Netflix next year, I wouldn't be surprised if like Roman's in the Rumble next year and he gets eliminated last, and then we comes to Raw the night after Rumble, or SmackDown after Rumble, and then we get the same thing. We get Rock come out. Like I'd imagine it'd probably be on. They're going to do this the draft at some point this year. I would imagine Roman comes back to Raw, because in that way, when they go to Netflix, Roman is on Netflix, and they bring the Rock out on Raw on Netflix. So it's probably going to be how they're going to do it now. Like I said, I know it sucks as a wrestling fan, but from a business point of view, it just makes hella sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it makes hella sense as well. And just to go back on the CM Punk then, obviously, and why I look at the heel turn. Yes, it feels like it's covering perhaps an obvious storyline beat after this, or the way he acted, but this has been coming. This has been coming since Punk returned, because Punk returned with a bit of salty attitude in Chicago when he came back in, obviously, and then he was on the Raw, the first promo back, and we remember he said, "I'm not here to make friends, I'm here to make money. That's why I'm back." Yeah. Like he did all the thing that the fans want to hear on mic, and then he said that line off mic, and you went, "Hello, okay, this is gonna be interesting with Punk." Punk then said the things you wanted to hear on the way to the Rumble, because things are going that way, and Punk even said this past Monday on Raw to Cody, "You were the guy that this is supposed to be, and I'm the guy that's going to take it all the way." In other words, the guy that was 10 years ago that got annoyed and left the company, because he was the guy that was supposed to get to those positions. Never got the WrestleMania main event. There was brought those legends back in. The Batistas came in and took his spot. The Rocks came in and took his spot. He was coming in to take that spot. He didn't get the job done. So now it's quite fascinating to see a salty side to CM Punk, how it's going to be, because the fact that things didn't quite work out for him like they did for those other legends, he's got a few question marks to ask himself now, how he's going to find himself to get into that WrestleMania main event. Obviously, Elimination Chamber is going to be the way to do so, but is Punk now going to be a bit more desperate, a bit more salty, and a bit more interesting on that microphone?
I absolutely agree that he was going to be a much more vindictive, bitter, spiteful person. But do you know what? Actually, thinking about it now, it makes more sense. Is that WWE aren't afraid to book Punk to lose, which was obviously when he was in AEW, was Punk's kind of winning everything, really. Like Punk only really lost like the main sort of like the main sort of matches that he would ever lose. Like I can't even remember a significant loss that Punk ever had on like a TV show. Like he would have probably lost pay-per-view matches, but like WWE put him in his first televised match, and a lot of people were backing him to win, and he doesn't win. I just think it shows that WWE have got the large male genitalia to say, look, this is our show and this is how we're going to book it. And the fact that Punk has gone, yeah, cool, no problems, and Punk's accepted that he's not going to win it, but he's still going to go on to Mania, and like they're going to get some sort of, I don't know, it's intriguing to see how they've done it. And like the character wise from Punk, and let's be honest, his his babyface run in AEW wasn't exactly, unless he was in front of a Chicago crowd, or, do you know what I mean? Everyone would sing to his music, but it was kind of like, I don't know, it almost felt underwhelming. But now if we go back to this whole, hell, I even bring back the Straight Edge Society, do you know what I mean? Like, I know Gallows and Anderson have they've I don't know, been completely separated and distant from AJ recently, who, by the way, kind of has Bullet Club style clothing in this in this Rumble match, in the world title match. Why not bring back the Straight Edge Society and just go completely full heel again? Like, I'd be well up for it.
Absolutely, yeah. I wouldn't be against that idea as well, bringing CM Punk into that sort of style once again. There, you mentioned about the defeats of CM Punk and AEW. CD did come in with two of them. I've got one more I could just add quickly on top of it. He said about Moxley to Dynamite. Of course, that was the championship match in about a minute's time when Punk wasn't fully fit to go at the time, and Ricky Starks was the Owen tournament last year, and MJF was the only other one there. But of course, that was like a pay-per-view match when they did that in Chicago, his hometown, when they were building up to the Revolution match. But apart from that, like you say, Punk didn't lose. They were too afraid. And I think the point you were kind of making as well there was like, that's Punk's first match back. Like, AEW wouldn't do that at the start. It was at least about 4 or 5 months before Punk lost the match in AEW. He was losing, he was winning all the time. So I see your point you were making with that. Like, Punk was like always the guy that they would look after in AEW, trying to put cotton wool around him, trying to pretend he was special all the time, hoping that it wouldn't sort of, kick off. Exactly. And it doesn't kind of, it's not been like that here. And like you say, what's that going to lead to a reaction? It could be a better storyline beat than the fact that Punk actually would have won the Rumble. I think it's actually more fascinating in a way of what Punk is going to do next and how he's going to react. And it's going to be fascinating to see him on Raw and how they're going to build it up. And I do think, like I say, probably will go through the Elimination Chamber, but certainly is a fun, fascinating way. But hey, we've done all the fantasy booking scenarios and we've not given a rating for the men's Royal Rumble. What would you give that score of a start rating?
I'm gonna say a 3. Like I said, it wasn't the best men's Rumble match. I think it was a safe winner. Like I said, it's not one I can sit there and, like, if you ask me questions on it in, say, 6 months' time, I probably wouldn't be able to remember much from it apart from like 1 or 2 highlights. Like, hell, I couldn't even remember Santos doing the springboard DDT. Do you know what I mean? It's not a very memorable Rumble, but still a very good one. But I'd probably say a 3.
I'm going to agree with you with a 3. I think that, like you say, it's middle of the road. I've seen as many Rumbles worse than this. I've seen better ones as well.
Yeah.
But I think the finish of this Rumble is what it's going to be remembered for. I think the last sort of 15, 20 minutes of it was probably its saving grace. And I would say that if Cody does go on to finish the story, this moment at the end of the Rumble is going to be seen iconic because of the fact he won here in Petersburg, Florida. It's Dusty Country as well, and all the history and legacy that goes with that, with the Rose name and all of that sort of stuff. It's going to feel like a very special moment in time to come. But all in all, what would be your final grade? We'll do this one out of 10 for the Royal Rumble 2024, and we can do some comments and wrap things up.
I'm probably going to say a 7. Like I said, the women's Rumble match was the best match on the night. The rest of it was just kind of slightly better than okay.
I'm going to agree again. It sounds like a parrot, don't I? But hey, sometimes it's not bad to be a parrot. But I think 7 out of 10 as well. I think the women's Rumble was better of the two. I think that all in all, I think it was better than average. But I think that's where we're going to go with that one. But we'll go into the comments anyway and do a few bits off to finish. Leo, I want to try. I can't find his comment, unfortunately. It was so far up. But Leo, if you are still watching, we apologize. Not actually forgotten. He asked a question very early in the stream, a couple of occasions, about how we would book the women's Elimination Chamber. So I'll just ask you quickly: would you go on the style of a number 1 contender for Rhea, or would you have Rhea defend the title in the chamber and do things that way?
I would rather. I think if you're thinking about Mania, like the 6 weeks after Chamber, plus the fact it's in Australia, I would rather Rhea have a one-on-one match with someone like a Nia Jax, main event the show, which is what I presume will happen, and then just have a number 1 contenders match inside the chamber for it. Throw in Jade, throw in Becky, throw in. I don't even know. I'm trying to there was. Well, hell, why not throw in Jordynne Grace again? What do you know what I mean? Just for a complete shocker. But yeah, I'd rather Rhea get the the applause and the credit and the pundits for a main event in a pay-per-view in our home country, I think that would be a much bigger deal.
Absolutely. I'm going to leave you for 2 seconds because Daddy Juices are calling. But I'm going to let you answer this question in the meantime.
Who would you put in the chamber to face Rollins at WrestleMania 40? Punk, McIntyre, Zayn, Nakamura, Jey Uso, Priest, Dark Horse, Ricochet. I mean, yeah, Ricochet's probably going to be your safest bet for the fact that he is obviously one of them spot guys. It probably would be worth a shout, but my issue is, see, Nakamura, this is the thing, Nakamura's lost so many times as well. Zayn, like I said, if you want Zayn and McIntyre to forward that story, Punk's going to be in there. Jey Uso probably is a safe bet. You're probably looking at some more heels. I mean, I'm trying to sit there and think who was in the Rumble really for me to do it. Let's have a look. I mean, I wouldn't be against throwing Gunter in there as well. Gunter, obviously, as an IC champion, is probably a good shout. And then, it could be anyone really. There's a few names a minute, but then again, you're going to throw people like, for instance, like Karrion Kross in there. You'd have to have Bobby Lashley in there. So there's a few names. I think Gunter should be in there. I think the fact that what they'll use is the final four. They'll use 3 of the final 4 in the Rumble as entrance as well. So you'll probably see Gunter will be in there. Drew McIntyre will be in there, and CM Punk will be in there, and then they'll add other people in there that they'll probably have to do qualifiers as before, which is what they sometimes do. So we'll get a series of matches between now and then that will be, like I said, just qualifiers for it. But yeah, like I said, there's not much really else you can do for it. Unfortunately, I can't really do much else because I have no control there. So you're just having to stare at me now while I'm sitting there talking. But yeah, but that's what I do. Just to go back to the previous one, I think for the women's one, who would I throw in that one? If you're going to do Rhea Ripley, I'd throw Jade again. Same thing again. Final 4 from the women's Rumble. I'd throw in Liv Morgan. I'd throw in Jade Cargill. You're going to throw in Becky. Or I'd probably throw in. I'm trying to think if you're someone else like Nia Jax is probably going to be her opponent. So I'll tell you what, I'd throw in Chelsea Green and Michin because I think Michin deserves this. She's almost like the Ricochet equivalent in the women's division.
She's awesome, Michin. I was a bit disappointed she didn't have a bigger role in the Rumble in the end there. But yeah, I mean, I like the sounds up of what you've been saying there. And obviously, I like the look of this lineup here for the Elimination Chamber here. I think this would be an awesome, if that's the way they want to book it. Obviously, I think...
Yeah,
go on.
I just said that they'll use the 3 of the final 4 from the Rumbles as half of the entrance for a chamber.
Absolutely. The only one I could see being an alternative, because I see there Ricochet there, I could see Bronson Reed potentially filling that spot purely because Gunther can't travel to Australia. He's currently got the permit where he's got to stay in the States for now. So I think that's the reason why Bronson Reed could be someone that could be filling that spot there. But otherwise, would have been a great shout there. Yeah. Absolutely. No Chad Gable at the Royal Rumble, which is a shame either. His push is over. Maybe not quite put over yet, but we'll have to wait and see. But just to go back to Leo's question, because I didn't really answer it. So he says that he believes CM Punk and Liv will win the chamber matches this year. I feel he will hate me for always not picking Liv Morgan, but I think it's Becky. I think Becky's going to be there, but I do think it'll be another one contenders. I think it could come down to Becky and Liv. I'm sure I heard you say Rhea versus Nia could be a match they might just do straight up for the singles title for Rhea in this match. They could do Rhea in the chamber because of the fact that obviously I think Rhea main events this show. It's in Australia.
Yeah, that's what I said,
going. So it's if they want to do the singles or they want to do the chamber, whatever way around they do it. But usually the number one contender goes through the more suffering. So I can imagine that they probably have the chamber and Rhea just has the singles match. So maybe they could just do Rhea versus Liv. I mean, that would be awesome to see as well for it. And that way they can have Becky and Nia suit like their emphasis in the chamber.
The only reason why I would say Nia is like Triple H summed this up in his the press conference last night. He said that not since Nia Jax come back, apart from the fact that she's been booked correctly, she's been presented very differently to how she's been presented before, and she is being presented as a dominant female wrestler, which is what she is. So that's the only reason why I would say have Nia in there, because I think Nia's actually earned the spot. Like I said, she was in the Rumble. Normally, when Nia's in a Rumble, she's eliminated within the first 2 or 3 minutes. But the fact that she had a decent run in the Rumble yesterday alone, I think, is cause in itself. But yeah, and the fact that Becky obviously didn't beat Nia on Raw either, I think is the other reason why we're going to get Nia versus Rhea.
Yeah, it certainly could be. I think it's one or the other, I think, for this big moment. But Nia's been built up for quite a while, so I can understand why she would be given a chance here. But 11 a.m. instead of 1 a.m. in the UK for Ray. Fantastic stuff. Indeed, you'd love to
11
see it.
a.m. I thought it was 9 a.m.
Could be. I thought it was 11 for me in the European time zone. Either way, it's a nice start for me. But CD, we do feel for you, obviously having to do the UK thing for this time around 4 a.m. I wonder if CD will do it live or the next day time. I wouldn't blame you either way. But
10 a.m. in the UK apparently.
10 a.m. in the UK, so that'll be 11 a.m.
I think that might be I think that might be the kickoff show at 10 a.m. and then the actual thing will start at 11.
Absolutely. This will be a feud one day, Tiffany and Charlotte, whenever Charlotte is back and healthy. And the last one we will take then, this is the last thing, and we'll wrap things up here today. It's Money in the Bank talk, of course, here. We did actually predict Sami Zayn to win Money in the Bank on our little prediction for those that haven't seen it yet. So we do agree with you. But he's reckons that Gunther might be the champion at the time. Would you agree with that or not? I personally have Gunther winning the title from Sami Zayn at Bash in Berlin.
When is Money in the Bank?
Money in the Bank is July the 6th, and Bash in Berlin is either the last weekend in August or the first weekend in September. It is a week after All In.
I honestly think that's too soon to have the world title on Gunther. Gunther still has to lose that IC title at some point, if I'm honest. And that's that. Like they're still booking that majorly strong. Like I think he's going to go all the way to Mania with it. I don't know, man. Like I said, I wanted Sami Zayn to win and cash in on Roman, if I'm honest. Like, I think Sami Zayn, like, for the last 2 years has deserved a world title shot. And it's kind of like, without trying to obviously put major comparisons on it, but I would love it for Sami and KO to win world titles at Mania, almost like how Eddie and Benoit did. Do you know what I mean? Because I think, like, their story alone is on the same path, friends for life. Like, please, like, obviously, I'm not discrediting anything that guy did, but the story in wrestling, Benoit and Guerrero, their friendship, what they've been through for the years, they traveled the roads together. It's the same thing with Zayn and KO. And like I said, I would like to see those two almost do the same thing. And if anything, they could do it to kind of really bury the previous version of that story, just to bury that guy even more. So that's what I'd like to see.
Very well said. I will say there on that answer there. And for me, I will say that Sami Zayn actually gets it off the CM Punk when he does get the title and cashes in. But it could always be Priest as well, who may leave it to the last day as well at this point. But that's all from us anyway. But thank you all for watching. Big thank you to everyone for their comments today as well. It's been great to have everybody on board, and thank you for all being involved on this Royal Rumble review. Honestly, your comments keep us going and keep this going strong. And if you can hit the like button as well, it really does make this makes it help worthwhile on YouTube as well. Gets the video spread around. If you can leave some comments at the end of the video as well, that would be great. Also in the comment section, anything we may have missed, I can answer in the comments section. But also a big thank you to the man next to me, NXT. It's been great to have you on board as well for the Royal Rumble review.
Yeah, man, like I said, I've been looking forward to talking about it all day. Yeah, man, it's always fun doing this stuff, man. So yeah, I look forward to the next time.
Absolutely. Thank you, CD, for the comment. And as Gemma's got in the question late in the day, Gemma, we're not going to miss you out. Don't you worry. Thank you for checking us out. Says, is there in WWE you can't stand watching?
I did have someone. He's not even there anymore. I used to be Riddick Moss just because I thought he was bland, generic creator, wrestler, character. Like he was just not like I couldn't stand watching him. He was just generic, and I was like, you've got no appeal to me whatsoever. You just look like a creator wrestler. Like you're the guy that I watch for 45 minutes while I'm selecting wrestling moves for a created wrestler on WWE 2K game.
Fair enough. I can't say I can't stand watching these wrestlers when I say, but it's the names that come to my mind. It's mainly because of the fact I find the Viking gimmick stupid. That's pretty much where I'm going to go with here. I think Ivar's had some incredible performances, but I struggle to get into the work that the Viking Raiders do in WWE. So I suppose actually an even better answer could be Valhalla, because I really don't understand what the hell is going on with her.
Hey, she had the antlers on last night. She should have won.
Yeah, I don't know what that was all about either. They had the antlers on. I'm like, yeah.
If they could, I would love them to go back to being called War Machine, but obviously, hey, you never know. With them going to Netflix next year, I don't know, because it's a paid for. This is the other thing as well, because it's a paid subscription. Does that mean that the product rating changes because you technically have to pay to watch Raw? Because you can't get it for free.
No, but then I suppose the sponsorships are all going to be the same, so I can't see it changing.
Very true. Yeah. But yeah, just change Viking Raiders back to War Machine, then go back to dominating. Once Hanson or Rowe, I forget which one, is fit again. Do you know what I mean? And just have them start dominating the tag team division again.
Absolutely. Temple, not a big fan of Ridge Holland either, generic as they come. Now, on the main roster, I had struggled with Ridge a bit, but I'm actually a bit more better now he's back in NXT. But Gallus, I struggle with Gallus as well. Don't know what it is. It's just
outrageous.
Yeah. I
Gallus
know.
always on top.
Bit bland for me, bit boring. There's not a lot of substance, unfortunately. But that's all from us anyway. If you think there was any substance in this stream, hit the like button. And if you don't, hopefully we'll try and win you over for the next stream. But thank you all for watching, and we'll see you for the next video. But there's plenty of videos to check out in the meantime on the channel, so make sure to go and do so, including some rewinds and your options for SCW Rewind in February. Should be dropping on the channel in the next day or two, so keep an eye out for those. There will be Elimination Chamber and Australia themed. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.